Hello everyone, this is Josh Vision and I'm here to give you my Season 1, Episode 1 review of Reign. So we start off this episode basically with a little bit of background. The background is that the year is 1557 and that Mary, Queen of Scots, is basically been living in a convent for the past 9 or so years for her own protection against the English. She's betrothed to the future king of France, his name being Francis. We start off this episode with Mary basically enjoying herself with her fellow ladies of the convent, and while they're eating lunch, I believe, or dinner or something along the lines, one of the ladies is actually poisoned. It's a really disgusting and really visceral sighting. Like, there was blood coming out of her nose, her ears, her eyes. It was really like on some grotesque crap. So basically, the older ladies that run the place decided now it's time for Mary to basically head off to France because they believe that's is best for her own protection. So she's shipped off to France. So when we get to French court, we're introduced to Francis and his older brother Sebastian, who's his older bastard brother, because Sebastian's actually the son and eldest child of Francis' father, the King of France. So when there's interaction between Francis and his father and his mother is very interesting. Basically, from this interaction, we find out basically that it's obvious that the King of France and Catherine de Medici, his wife, and Francis' mother, have no love for each other. Like, this is like their marriage has literally been a political, kind of thing, with no love evolving over the past 20 some odd years they've been together. I believe that Francis was asked by his father, so what do you think about marrying Mary? You haven't seen her since you were 9 or 10. And he was like, well, last time I seen her, she had no front teeth, she had skinny legs, and she had massive opinions, and she didn't shut up. So his father looked toward his mother and said, you know what? That tends to help when you're married, because they know their place after that. And it was kind of, she kind of gave him a look, Catherine Medici, his wife. And she was saying, long as she loves you for who you are, it doesn't really matter, and all that stuff. So after that little bit of an exchange, we see Catherine de Medici talking with Nostradamus. Now, I was kind of surprised to see Nostradamus, and if anyone knows anything about Nostradamus, the historical seer of the future, I was actually surprised to see him, in a show like this. But whatever. So she's talking to him, and she asks him, so what do you see of my son's future and Mary's future? Will he love her? Will she love him? Will they be happy together? And Nostradamus basically predicts her and tells her straight up that her son's going to die, and it's going to be Mary's fault. So obviously, as a mother, or just as a parent in general, she was kind of like, what the freak? And just a human being, it's like, ooh, you mean? Imagine that coming to you. This guy who's been right about most of the things I've been talking about, not everything, he's telling you that your son is literally going to die because of this betrothed woman that he's about to marry. So, obviously that's taking her aback. So, next scene, we see Mary. She's coming in, with all pump and all that stuff for her little girl, like ladies in waiting and her guards and all this crap. So, she's waiting there. She talks to her little girlfriends, all that stuff. And her girlfriends give a little bit of the run by of certain important people in the courts. We see Francis. He makes his way towards Mary. And Mary's kind of tongue-tied because she hasn't seen Francis, like I mentioned before, in I believe 9 or 10 years. And she's making these really corny jokes. And he's, you could tell he does have feelings for her. But it seems like is kind of reserved, it's like he holds himself back. And I was wondering why he was holding himself back. And then we find out in the episode that the reason that's the case because Francis has a little piece on the side. He has a lover, and her name is Natalia. And apparently this affair that's been going on has been going on for quite a while. Now, I don't know if Natalia is one of his father's ex-lovers or she's just one of the ladies of noble courts or something. But it seemed as though him and Natalia's connection isn't just sexual. It seemed like they actually generally care and they like for each other. Anyways, so as the episode continues, we see Mary making her way up the stairs, and we see her catch basically Frances in the middle of blacksmithing, especially with swords. And she thought it was pretty neat that, that the prince of the king of France, his son, was actually doing something like that, because she didn't really think nobles would waste their time doing things like that. And we hear from Francis that his dilemma is the fact that he kind of hates being the prince, because as a prince you have everything done for you. You have like servants and all this stuff. You're rich and all this stuff. And he actually wants to earn things on his own merit instead of his birthright. And he feels though if crap goes wrong and something happens with the throne, or he's ousted or something, or they're ousted, if him and her actually do marry, that as a man, he feels that he should at least have a trade in which he can make some type of money and earnings off of, or at least know how to do, which Mary agreed with. And they did have a brief moment of happiness, but it went dramatically downhill after Mary, I believe she went near the river or something, near like the castle or the court, and she tried to give Francis some type of like beads or some shit, right? But Francis was in the middle, either before he's about to get on with Natalia, his lover, or post getting on with Natalia. So he says some harsh words to her that really took her aback. So after that, she basically went back to the little river brook, and she's sitting with a dog, and her dog goes to the into the forest. And this is when she meets Sebastian, Francis's older brother. And they have a little exchange about her dog and why she shouldn't go into the forest. She's a noble lady and all this stuff. And he promises basically that he will get the dog for her. He promises that he'll go in the forest for her. So, I believe after that, she was kind of talking about how much of an a-hole his brother is, and he kind of laughed about it. So you can sort of tell that there is chemistry between her and Sebastian, but I also believe there's chemistry between her and Francis. Just more like Francis, just much more reserved about it, because also he has a lover, with Natalia. But Sebastian seemed like he's really interested in Mary. And I feel as though that's not a good thing, that's a bad thing, because he seems to be a schemer, and I don't really trust him so far. So later on in the episode, we see that one of Mary's ladies-in-waiting's boyfriend, I believe his name is Colin, I believe he made his way to France, and now he's a part of the court or something, or he strikes some deal with Catherine de Medici, like I mentioned before, Francis' mom, about staying there and all this crap. And I believe his father did something. It was something to do with his father's. His father made his way or something from poor to like a middle class dude, something along the lines. His father did something, So either way, he's there. So there's this big feast that happens. Mary and her friends are really excited about it. They're like mystified by the pageantry and all this crap that's happening, during this little shindig. So Mary speaks with Francis, and Francis tries, he does apologize to her for how he acted. And Mary was like, so like when she was just trying to get to the point. She was like, so this whole marriage, I know is just for our countries. I know it's like a political, bindingness of each other, but do you love me, or do you actually care for me like I care for you? And Francis was kind of struggling on it. He is like he wanted to say he did, but once again, he has his lover, and also it seems like Francis is much more practical, in which he's much more about thinking the big game. Mary is very emotional, from my opinion, from this so far in this episode. And she's all about, I don't know how to explain it, but either way, basically, like, she talks about how she's kind of hurt that Francis didn't admit that he loved her back, or at least seen her as much more than as a political chess piece on the board. So after that, I believe we had this thing with Mary and her friends that they separated or some crap, right? And they all went their separate ways throughout the castle. And I believe one of Mary's friends, ladies-in-waiting, actually got it on with the King of France. I forgot her freaking name, which pisses me off right now, honestly. But that's interesting to see where that leads. So after that, I believe Mary was told by some mysterious person behind some curtain or something not to drink the wine tonight. And it was funny, after she told Mary that, Mary tried to find her, but she couldn't. It's like she disappeared. So Mary is with one of her ladies in waiting, and she's right in front of one of the nobles of the court, Anne Collin, which I mentioned before is one of Mary's lady in waiting's like boyfriend or lover or some crap. So he gave her the wine, but she didn't take it. So later in the night, this dude, while Mary was about to go to sleep, he goes on top of her. So I'm wondering, why is this dude trying to get on top of her? What reason is this? And he's like, saying, I'm sorry. So it turns out this dude was actually trying to rape Mary. And thankfully, the guards got there just in time. So while this basically was happening, I was more like, what the freak? I was shocked they even I wasn't really expecting that. So I believe that's how the episode ended, if I remember correctly. Wait, another thing happened. Mary's dog was returned to her by Sebastian, and I believe Sebastian's mother told Sebastian, listen, I know you like that girl, but remember, you're a bastard. There's no way you can get with her. And he kind of gets that look like, you know what? Just watch and see. So that's how I remember the episode ended. If I miss anything, please write it down below in the comments. Thank you guys for watching this review. Adios. Have a good one.